Yochanan chapter 2. Can I have my first reader read Yochanan chapter 2, verses 1 through 11?
And on the third day, there was a marriage in Cana of Galilee, and the mother of Yeshua was there, and both Yeshua was called and his disciples to the marriage. And when they wanted wine, the mother of Yeshua said unto him, They have no wine. Yeshua saith unto her, Woman, what have I to do with thee? Mine hour is not yet come. His mother saith unto the servants, Whatsoever he saith unto you, do it. And there were 6 water pots of stone after the manner of the purifying of the Jews, containing 2 of the 3 firkins apiece. Yeshua said unto them, Fill the water pots with water. And they filled them up to the brim. And he saith unto them, Draw out now, and bear it unto the governor of the feast. And they bare it. When the ruler of the feast had tasted the water that was made wine, they knew not whence it was, but the servants which drew the water knew. The governor of the feast called the bridegroom, and saith unto him, Every man at the beginning does set forth good wine. And when men have well drunk, then that which is worse, but thou hast kept the good wine until now. This beginning of miracles did Yeshua in Cana of Galilee, and manifested forth his glory, and his disciples believed on him.
Okay, praise Yah. Okay, it says that this was the beginning of miracles, and we need to take note, for Yah is pointing out to us that this is the first of the miracles, and as we'll see with the next one is say this is the second, and that's a hint for us to keep on counting them, and in actuality there's 8 within the Gospel of Yochanan. There's 8. But they're not really miracles that's here in this book. Not miracles per se. The word miracles here is semeion, number 4592, and it means a sign, a mark, or token. Miracle with a spiritual end and purpose. So it's just not a miracle in and of itself, but it's a sign, a mark, or a token. It's a miracle that was done with a spiritual end and purpose. Miracles which lead to something out of beyond themselves. They're like, these are like the finger marks of Elohim. Valuable not so much for what they are as for what they indicate of the grace and power of the doer, which is Yahushua, Elohim. This word occurs 48 times and is always translated sign in the other Gospels except for one place, and that's here in Luke 23:8, where it speaks of Herod wanting to see some miracle from Yahushua. The word is actually sign. He wanted to see a sign by him, in which Yah didn't give into. Now, here in the book of Yochanan, the word semeion occurs 17 times. And it's errantly translated 13 times as miracle, and correctly as sign the other 4 times. But point being, there's a series of 8 signs within the book of Yochanan. And these signs, which is translated miracles in the King James, are a sign, a mark, or a token, for us to look at, because they represent something other than the miracle in and of itself. So it's kind of like a parable or a simile within the sign. Everybody feel me? Mm-hmm. Now, this one here that we just read about is given to manifest Yah's glory. That is, what is glory? Glory is doxa in the Greek, number 1391, meaning to think, recognize, something that's apparent, a thing belonging to Elohim. So it's something that causes you to think or recognize or make apparent that it belongs to Elohim. You know, so this sign is for us to recognize that Yahushua was Elohim in the flesh, and to think about and recognize the works he came to perform. Now, also, I want us to take note that not only of what is said in the sign, but also what's not being said in the sign. You know, because we can learn from that as well. Okay, we're going to go back over and look at the symbolism that's involved within this sign. Yochanan 2:1 says, the third day there was a marriage in Cana of Galilee, and the mother of Yahushua was there. Now, this third day, 3 represents spiritual completeness as well as the will and purpose of Elohim. Because what Yah makes spiritually complete, you know, and if it's spiritually complete and that spirit is of him, then it speaks to the will and purpose of him. So, number 3 speaks of spiritual completeness as well as the will and purpose of Elohim. You know, Cana means reed. You know, and this is, we spoke about the sea of reeds, you know, and how that was a picture of the word of Elohim, because upon reeds is what the word is written on. From reeds they make papyrus, you know, in which they write the word of Elohim on, which some still survive now today, even thousands of years old. So within the Cana, we see a prophetic or symbolic picture of the word of Elohim. You know, you can even say prophecy, for which is the word of Elohim. And Torah, the mother of Yahushua. Take note that within, you know, one of the things that they don't mention in this account is the name of the mother of Yahushua. Now, we all know the name, you know, and many places where it refers to her by name. So why did Yochanan choose to leave her name out? You know, well, you know, that's something for us to ponder in and of itself. You know, one thing, her name means rebellion, you know, and maybe that didn't fit into the scheme of the sign, you know. So we have the mother of Yahushua, which I refer to as Torah, because Torah truly did, it carried the seed of Elohim, the seed which was the word of Elohim that birthed Yahushua. You know, he was prophesied of before he came. You know, that prophecy was a word, you know, and that word started off as a seed, even as Yahushua's parable would teach us. You know, remember the parable of the sower and the seed?
Yes, yes.
You know, okay. Now, Revelation 19 bears reference to Yochanan 2:1. So if we look at this from the spiritual symbolism, you have the third day, you have something, you know, Yah's letting us know this is something that is in his will and purpose, you know, is spiritually complete, you know, in the will and purpose of Elohim. You know, there was a marriage, or there will be a marriage in Cana. You know, there's a marriage that's spoken of in Cana, which we say represents the word of Elohim of Galilee. We spoke last week of Galilee meaning a circuit, you know, and that it was symbolic of the way that we walk going through the Moedim. We go through this circuit of Moedim each year, you know. We start from Passover and go to Pentecost and then go to Tabernacles, and then we go around again and we keep going around and around, you know. Now, within this circuit is Cana, or the word of Elohim, you know, and the mother of Yahushua was there. So here it is. We see Torah, symbolic picture of Torah, and Yahshua going through the circuit, you know, going through the Moedim. So it's a picture of Yahshua in the earth actually going through the Moedim, as we're going to see that he does, you know. And it's speaking of a marriage, you know, and the word does speak of a coming marriage. In Revelation 19:7, it says, "Let us be glad and rejoice and give honor to him, for the marriage of the Lamb is come, and the wife hath made herself ready." You know, so here it is. We see what this sign is a token of. This sign is this miracle, I should say, or Simeon, is a sign or token of the marriage of the Lamb, you know, which is coming. Now, in the physical, of course, it's speaking about that physical wedding marriage ceremony that they were at. But Yahushua is teaching us about his coming ceremony with this sign, with this Simeon, or sign or token. Yochanan 2:3 says, "And when they wanted wine, the mother of Yahushua saith unto them, they have no wine." You know, these three words, "when they wanted," is hysterio in the Greek number 5302, and it means to fall short of, be deficient, or wanting. So in other words, when they fell short of wine, they ran out, they were becoming deficient, you know, the mother of Yahushua said unto him, they have no wine. So what does this wine represent? Now also, before we go there, let's take note that we never hear about who the bridegroom is. We never hear about who the bride is. Now, even though they're supposed to be at these people wedding, it seems like, you know, if you're telling a story, you're going to tell, you know, hey, you know, this is the story of so-and-so and so-and-so's wedding. They never mention the name of whose wedding it is. Why? Because it's not important. Because it's not really about them. It's about the ones who they do name. And who do they name? Yahushua and his disciples. You see, it says that they were called to the marriage. And we see Revelation speaks of, blessed are they which are called unto the marriage of the supper of the Lamb. Them the only ones that he's really actually identifying is the mother of Yahushua, which typifies Torah, the Messiah and his disciples. In other words, he's saying, you know, hey, who getting married in this story really don't matter. The bride or the bridegroom, they really don't matter. So I'm not even going to tell you their names. All you need to be concerned with is Yahushua and his disciples and his mother, which typifies Torah. Okay, let's take a look at this wine. Wine, scripturally speaking, typified blood, or the blood covenant. It also typifies judgment and wrath. You know, wine, it speaks of the blood covenant in that it's made from grapes, which you know, the covenant, which is like a lifelong commitment, even as the grape has to live its life and shed its skin before it can become wine. You know, so do us that enter into blood covenant with Yahushua have to live our life and shed our skin, you know, and likewise become wine. Now, it also speaks to judgment and wrath. You know, so wine can represent blood, it can represent the blood covenant, it can represent judgment and wrath. And just scriptural support for this, we have 1 Corinthians 11:25 that speaks of this cup is the New Testament in my blood, you know, and we know this, it was put in a cup of wine, you know, but he's calling it, you know, his new covenant or better covenant that's in his blood, you know, that we're to drink of. Amen. So speaking of that blood covenant that we have with Yahushua, Isaiah 49:26 speaks of actually when Yah will pour his wrath out. It says, I will feed them that oppress thee with their own flesh, and they shall be drunken with their own blood as with sweet wine. You know, so we see, you know, blood being likened unto wine. You know, Isaiah 63:3 speaks of trodden the wine press and having their blood be sprinkled upon my garments, and he says, I will stain my raiment. So again, we see the wine being likened unto blood. And in Revelations 14:19 and 20 speaks of the great wine press being the wrath of Elohim, and it being trodden and blood coming out of it. You know, so I think that should be more than sufficient to show that wine typifies blood, you know, in the scriptures, blood covenant, Yah's judgment and wrath. Okay, Yochanan 2:4. Yahushua saith unto her, Woman, what have I to do with thee? Mine hour is not yet come. Now, many people errantly take this to refer to the hour of Yah's passion. Yet I beg to differ, for Yahushua teaches his passion is the hour of the enemy. You know, Luke 22:53 says, When I was daily with you in the temple, ye stretched forth no hands against me. But this is your hour and the power of darkness. Now, that's not to say that Yahushua's passion isn't also spoken of as his hour, you know, but it wasn't his hour of glory.